Welcome to Sinister Stories, where the shadows move, the rules matter, and what you don't see is sometimes the scariest part. If you love a good scare, stick around, because once you hear these stories, you'll never sleep the same way again. Subscribe, if you dare. Dating in your 30s is like fishing in a lake that's been fished dry. Every once in a while you think you got a bite, only to reel in an old boot filled with emotional baggage. So when I matched with Vanessa on a dating app, I figured, why not? She was gorgeous. Long, dark hair, green eyes, and a mischievous smile that made it look like she knew something I didn't. We hit it off through messages, and within a week, she suggested dinner at her place. I should have been skeptical. Women usually don't invite guys over that quickly. But when an attractive woman offers you home-cooked pasta and good wine, you don't ask questions. You say yes. Her apartment was just outside the city, in a quiet neighborhood. She met me at the door in a black dress that hugged her figure perfectly. The place smelled like garlic and butter, and a candlelit table was already set. It felt too good to be true. We talked. We laughed. It was perfect. She was charming, witty, and somehow even more attractive in person. After dinner, we moved to her couch, and she poured us both a glass of wine. That's when she pulled out a folded piece of paper and slid it across the coffee table toward me. "What's this?" I asked, smirking. "A love letter already?" She giggled. "Not exactly. Just a few rules I need you to follow for the rest of the night." I raised an eyebrow. "Rules?" She nodded. "It's a little eccentric, I know, but trust me, it's important." I unfolded the paper and read, 1. No matter what, do not look under my bed. 2. If I go to the bathroom and you hear scratching at the door, do not open it. 3. If at any point I ask you what my name is, do not answer. I snorted. "This is a joke, right?" Her expression didn't change. "Just promise me you'll follow them." I hesitated, looking for any sign that she was messing with me. But she was serious. Weird, but serious. "All right," I said. "I promise." That was my first mistake. A couple more glasses of wine, some flirtatious touches, and before I knew it, we were making out on her bed. I was feeling pretty damn lucky. Then at some point, she pulled away, biting her lip like she had a secret. "I need to use the bathroom," she whispered. "Wait here." I nodded, watching her disappear behind the bathroom door. A second later, I heard it. The sound of scratching. Soft, but deliberate. My drunken brain took a second to process it. She told me not to open the door if I heard scratching. But what if she needed help? What if she was stuck in some weird cat-sized vent? That wasn't likely, but hey, wine makes you think dumb things. I walked over to the bathroom door and knocked lightly. "Vanessa? You good in there?" The scratching stopped. Silence. Then a voice. Her voice, soft, but slightly off. "Don't open the door." A chill ran down my spine. Something about the way she said it. Like it wasn't coming from the other side, but instead, from all around me. I took a step back. Okay. The scratching resumed, but now it was faster, more frantic. I stumbled away from the door and sat back on the bed, rubbing my temples. Maybe I'd had too much to drink. Maybe this was some weird test. Maybe I should leave. That's when I saw it. Something was under the bed. Not just a shadow. A shape. A human-like shape. And it was breathing. I froze. My mind went back to the list. Do not look under my bed. Too late. My body locked up. The air felt heavier, like the room itself was leaning in toward me. I couldn't see the thing clearly, just a dark outline shifting slightly beneath the bed. A slow, deep inhale came from it, like it had just realized I was looking. Then, the whisper. "You weren't supposed to do that." My breath hitched. The voice wasn't Vanessa's, but it had her cadence, her tone, like something was trying to imitate her and getting it just slightly wrong. I shot up from the bed, nearly tripping over my own feet. My mind scrambled for logic. Maybe she had some weird mannequin under there as a prank. Maybe it was a trick of the shadows. Maybe I was just drunk. Then the bathroom door creaked open. Vanessa stepped out, her face obscured by the dim light. I exhaled in relief until I noticed something was off. Her dress was the same, but her hair, it looked damp, like she had just taken a shower. But I hadn't heard any water running. She smiled. "Everything okay?" I swallowed hard. Yeah. Thought I saw something under your bed." Her smile didn't falter. If anything, it widened. "Did you?" The way she said it sent shivers down my spine. I forced a laugh. "Yeah, probably just the wine messing with me." She stepped closer, eyes locked onto mine. "Probably." Something in me screamed to leave. Every instinct I had was telling me to get out. But then she reached out and touched my hand, and it was warm, grounding, normal. Maybe I was just overthinking. Maybe the wine really was messing with me. "Come back to bed," she whispered. I hesitated but let her pull me back onto the mattress. She climbed on top of me, her lips soft against mine. For a moment I let go of the unease, letting myself sink into the moment. Then she pulled back, looking at me with a playful glint in her eyes. "What's my name?" Every muscle in my body tensed. My blood ran cold. I knew what the list said. "If at any point I ask you what my name is, do not answer." Her smile remained, but her fingers dug into my shoulders, just a little too hard. "Come on," she coaxed, "or say my name." My mouth was dry. My pulse thundered in my ears. I shook my head. Her smile twitched. "Why not?" I couldn't speak. I just stared at her. The pressure on my shoulders grew. Her nails, no, not nails, claws. They were lengthening, pressing into my skin. Her pupils dilated, swallowing the green of her irises. Something shifted beneath her skin, like she was rearranging herself. Then she whispered low and guttural, "Say it." My breath hitched. I shook my head again, unable to form words. Vanessa, or whatever she was, held onto me tighter, her fingers pressing into my skin. No, not fingers. They were changing, elongating, sharpening. Her face twitched. No, it glitched, like a corrupted video, skipping frames. 1 second, she was the woman I'd been kissing. The next, her mouth stretched too long before snapping back, her cheekbones shifting ever so slightly, like her skull was rearranging itself. I tried to move, but her grip was too strong. "I asked you a question." Her voice was still Vanessa's, but there was something underneath it now. Something layered. I forced myself to stay calm. I don't know what you mean." Her expression darkened. "Oh, come on," she whispered, tilting her head. "It's easy. Say my name." I stayed silent. Her grip tightened, claws now fully formed, digging into my shoulders. It hurt. Bad. Warm blood trickled down my arms. Something shifted beneath her skin. Her collarbone rippled. Her spine moved in a way it shouldn't. Her pupils, already too large, expanded, swallowing the green of her irises until her eyes were just black voids. And then, she smiled. Not a normal smile. A stretched, impossible grin, revealing too many needle-thin teeth. Rows of them, layered deep like a shark's. "You're smarter than I thought," she murmured. "Most men just say it right away." I swallowed hard. What happens if I say it?" Her grin widened. "Why don't you find out?" Her voice had changed again. It wasn't Vanessa's anymore. It was deeper, richer, and it carried a disturbing echo, like more than one person was speaking. I did the only thing I could think of. I shoved her. She barely moved, but it was enough for me to break free. I rolled off the bed, hitting the floor hard. Pain shot up my ribs, but adrenaline kicked in, screaming at me to run. I scrambled to my feet and sprinted toward the door. The second I grabbed the doorknob, A chill spread through my hand. The metal was ice cold, burning into my palm like dry ice. I yelped and yanked my hand away. "Leaving so soon?" I spun around. She was crawling off the bed, not climbing. Crawling. Her limbs bent the wrong way, her shoulders rising unnaturally as she skittered toward me on all fours, her spine contorting with every movement. My stomach lurched. She was too fast. I stumbled back, heart hammering. My mind screamed for me to do something, but what the hell was I supposed to do? I had no rules for this. And then, I remembered. The list. I had already broken rule number 1. I looked under the bed, but there were still 2 more. Rule number 2. If I hear scratching at the bathroom door, do not open it. I didn't break that one. But rule number 3. If she asks for her name, do not answer. That had to mean something. If just saying her name was a danger, then maybe words had power. Maybe if I refused, she wouldn't be able to... Crack. Her bones snapped as she lunged at me. I dodged. Barely. Her claws ripped through my shirt, slicing deep into my ribs. Pain exploded in my side, but I didn't stop. I bolted for the kitchen, knocking over a lamp on the way. I needed something. A weapon. I yanked open a drawer, grabbing the first thing I saw, a steak knife. Footsteps. No, not footsteps. Skittering sounds filled the air as she moved toward me, her movements inhumanly fast. I spun, holding the knife out. "Stay back." She stopped. For the first time, her expression changed. The grin was gone. She was watching me now, calculating. The silence stretched. My breathing was ragged. My ribs ached. Then, slowly, her lips parted again. "You should have left when I went to the bathroom." Her voice was softer now, almost sad. For half a second, I felt something weird. Not fear, not pain, guilt. Like this wasn't her choice. Like she didn't want to be this. Then she twitched, her body jerking violently, and I realized she was fighting something. Something inside her. That's when I saw it. Her shadow. It didn't match her shape. It was something else entirely. Something much bigger. Something with too many limbs and a mouth that never stopped moving. I gripped the knife tighter. She lurched forward, then stopped mid-step, shaking, her fingers twitching like she was struggling to stay still. Her lips trembled. "I can't hold it back much longer," she whispered. "You need to..." Crack. Her neck twisted violently to the side, and when she looked at me again, she wasn't fighting anymore. She had let it in, and it wanted me. My legs wouldn't move. My body refused to obey me. Vanessa, or whatever she had become, tilted her head at an unnatural angle, her 2 wide eyes locked onto mine. The thing inside her had taken full control now, and I could feel it watching me, studying me. Then it smiled. Not the way Vanessa had before. This was something else. A mockery of a smile. "I gave you a chance," she said, her voice layered now. Vanessa's tone buried beneath something older, darker. "You should have followed the rules." The lights in the apartment flickered. A deep, wet clicking noise filled the room as her bones shifted beneath her skin. Her arms stretched unnaturally, her hands elongating, fingers twisting into something more like talons. I bolted. My body finally kicked into action, pure instinct taking over. I sprinted for the front door, my hand grasping the knob. It wouldn't turn. My stomach dropped. Behind me, the thing that had been Vanessa laughed softly. "Did you think I'd let you leave?" I spun, pressing my back against the door, my heart hammering against my ribs. She, or it, was crawling toward me again, its limbs bending in ways that no human should move. The apartment walls warped, the floor beneath me shuddering. The world itself was bending around her, like she was something that shouldn't exist here. My mind raced. Think. The list. I'd already broken rule number 1, looked under the bed. I had followed rule number 2. I didn't open the bathroom door when I heard the scratching. But rule number 3. If she asks for her name, do not answer. I hadn't answered her. I had held my tongue. And somehow, she wasn't fully in control yet. That meant there was still a way out. I just had to figure it out before she killed me. She reached for me, her fingers twitching, her smile stretching too far. I gripped the steak knife tighter. "Vanessa!" I gasped. The moment I said it, she screamed. Not a human scream, not even close. It was a noise so deep and wrong that my ears rang with the force of it, like 1,000 voices crying out in agony at once. Her body jerked violently, her form glitching again, like she was flickering in and out of reality. I gritted my teeth. I was right. Her name mattered. The thing inside her, it wasn't her. But somehow Vanessa was still in there, trapped. I took a shaky step forward. "Vanessa," I said again, stronger this time. The creature snapped back, clawing at its own head like it was trying to tear something out of itself. The lights flickered harder. The walls rippled. The air thickened around us, pulsing like a living thing. And then, she spoke. "Help. Me." The words came not from the monster in front of me, but from everywhere at once. I wasn't speaking to the creature anymore. I was speaking to her. Somewhere, the real Vanessa was still in there, buried deep. I had one shot. I took a deep breath and shouted her name. "Vanessa!" The reaction was instant. The creature convulsed, its limbs locking up. The darkness in its eyes cracked, revealing something behind them. Something human. For a split second, Vanessa's face returned. Tears streamed down her cheeks, her eyes wide with fear and pain. "You have to say it," she whispered. My pulse pounded. "Say what?" "The name," she gasped. "Its name." The thing inside her roared and Vanessa screamed in agony. I had seconds. My mind scrambled. I had no idea what its name was, no idea what to say. But I had to try something. I thought about what Vanessa had told me at the start of the night. She warned me about the rules. She gave me a list. Because she had done this before. And if she had done this before, then she had written the list before. My eyes darted to the coffee table. The paper was still there, the handwritten rules scrawled across it. I lunged for it, grabbing it with bloody fingers, and flipped it over. And there, at the bottom, written in Vanessa's frantic, shaking handwriting, was a name. Morgren. I barely had time to think. I shouted the name at the top of my lungs. The effect was instantaneous. Vanessa's body locked up, her back arching violently as the thing inside her shrieked. A sound so inhuman, so wretched that I thought my head would split open. The air rippled violently, the walls shaking. And then, it tore free. A shadow, too tall, too thin, too wrong, erupted from Vanessa's body, its limbs writhing as it let out one final horrific wail. Then, it was gone. The light stabilized, the apartment stopped shaking, and Vanessa collapsed. I caught her before she hit the floor, her body trembling, her breath ragged. She looked up at me, tears spilling down her face. "You!" she choked out. "You actually—" Then she passed out. When she woke up, the sun was rising, casting pale light through the curtains. I was still there, sitting beside her, waiting. She blinked at me, her eyes tired, but she was herself again. The real Vanessa. "Did I hurt you?" she whispered.